today we have Gantavya here with us. So a lot of ask me भैया कि इंटरनेशनल ऑफर वगैरह जो होता है वो हमको कैसे मिल सकता है. So आज के लिए गंतव्य अपने साथ रहेंगे एंड उनको पूरा प्रोसेस गाइड करेंगे कि उनको 1 करोड़ वाली जॉब कैसे मिली and in the process what all things he prepared and how he did that and how you can do it. So talking of that, like Gantavya don't belong from an IIT, right? So you need not be an IIT Bombay student, जो CSC में अपना डिग्री कर रहे हैं ताकि उसको इंटरनेशनल ऑफर मिले. आप बिना IIT जाके भी आपको मिल सकता है. So आज गंतव्य अपने को वही अपना जर्नी बताएंगे from how he started and everything and finally landing up a job with Amazon with a package of over 1 crore. I guess ये काफी लोगों का ड्रीम होगा जो आप देख रहे हैं. So before we start, what if Gantavya, do you mind introducing yourself a bit?
So sure. So I'm Gantavya Malviya, and I belongs to Electronics and Communication branch, which is a non-CS branch, or you can say which does not have anything related to CS branch and all, which is totally a electronics based branch. So I belongs to that branch, and I recently got an offer from Amazon Germany. And besides doing all these things, I also love to be in communities. I have joined many communities, and yeah, I just love to explore various fields and all. So yeah,
okay, that's actually great. Like as you mentioned, two things which are very important for me from introduction. Firstly, कि you are from EC, right? Like electronics and communication. So जो बच्चे पूछते हैं कि यार भैया मैं CS में नहीं हूँ, क्या मैं कोडिंग स्टार्ट कर सकता हूँ? 100%. And secondly, it was an off-campus opportunity, so anyone can apply. तो कोई इसमें कुछ constant वगैरह नहीं था. So before reaching the interview rounds, firstly like how did you got to know कि ये opportunity exist करता है? And when you came to know कि okay, so Germany is hiring for HDs, so how did you apply? Did you take a referral or what was the entire journey? Like how did you find it and then how did you get the test link? Because अपने लिए क्या होता है ना, most of the people don't get the OT का link. So we are not able to sit for the online assessment वाले exams and उसके आगे proceed नहीं कर पाते. So how did you do it differently?
Okay, so first of all, I applied through the careers portal of Amazon, and I applied without any referral because earlier I used to take a lot of referrals, but none of them worked out for me. So this time I applied without any referral and it worked for me. So for this opening I applied without any referral, and I luckily got the online assessment link. And after getting the online assessment link, I went through all the interview rounds and all, and finally I got an offer.
Okay, that's actually pretty nice. Like I guess your resume was really strong because I also applied for the same position in Amazon Germany, and I got 2 referrals, like 2 particular employees. I just approached them over LinkedIn. And so, folks, if you also want to know how to get referrals, you can just ping in the comments, and I will be making a video on how to get referrals. But yeah, I also approached them, but like I got the referrals, but post that I got the link, hey, this position is filled up. Better luck next time, sort of. So, but it was really great to know that without referrals also people are getting the OT links. So, how was your coding round? Like, how did it went? Like, what all questions did you face, and what was it? Was it like if you just compare with suppose Leetcode, like was it Leetcode medium, difficult, or how many questions it had? You can give a brief overview for that.
Okay, so in the first online assessment round, I got 2 DSA questions. We can say probably it's a Leetcode medium to hard level questions, and I was given around 45 minutes to solve both the questions, and I was able to solve like within 15 to 20 minutes. And after the first online assessment, that was the coding round, after qualifying that round, I got the second online assessment round within few minutes only, and that was basically related to situation based question, the real life scenario questions, and that was the second online assessment round. So these 2 was the online assessment rounds which I had in the whole interview. Then after the online assessments, I got the interview links. Like after 15 to 20 days, I got the interview links.
Okay, we will be surely coming to the interview rounds because that is something very important. I'm pretty sure a lot of viewers, including me, want to learn how it went. But before that, Gantavya, what made you different? Like how did you structure your resume? Like, so are you a competitive programmer or you are more of a development person? because as I've seen from your profile that you have also been an instructor in apni kaksha, right? So you did an array of things. So what do you think, like what made your resume stand out from people like me and others, and you landed up? So what all you did extra that we should also follow to get an international offer just like you?
Okay, so what I personally think is there is no particular format for any resume, as well as it's very difficult to judge any resume, because in even in my case I applied with the same resume in almost all the companies, but I got the online assessment from few companies only, so we cannot say that any of the resume is perfect for the interviews, right? But there are few things which we need to keep in mind while making our resume. So the very first thing we can say is the format of the resume. So what everyone prefer is the one page resume and the single column resume, right? So this is the first thing which everyone should keep in mind. Then the second thing is the number of sections, and the most important sections must be there, like your education, experience, skills, then your projects, right? And these kind of sections must be there in the resume. Then after the sections, there are few more things, like you can use action verbs. You can add some numbers to showcase the impact you have created through those projects and the experience you had in the resume. And you can also use bullet points, and you can also add some hyperlinks in the resume, right? So these kind of things, if you do in the resume and add in your resume, so I think these things might increase the ATS score of the resume, and this will help to you easily get shortlisted.
Okay, that's interesting. And the way I recently did a podcast with one of my friend, and when he just got into Google, and he mentioned the best way to find the ATS score is you copy paste the total resume into a notepad and see what all data it can extract, and how much it extract is the actual percentage. So even if you are not using a paid ATS software, you can also get your ATS score done. So folks, make sure to check the podcast I have recorded, how to convert your internship to PPO in Google, and how he did it. So I will be linking that. So do check that out as well. So Gantavya, a lot of folks, a lot of juniors, even me. So we have the problem कि maintaining the balance कि कितना DSA करना है, कितना development करना है, कितना projects बनाना है, maintaining the optimum balance. So how did you like manage to do everything along the process, like आपने पहले डीएसए किया पूरा, उसके बाद आपने डेवलपमेंट स्टार्ट किया, या फिर आपने दोनों को साथ में किया? So how did you exactly you proceeded for this?
So, like in my case, I basically did both the things side by side. I primarily focused on DSA, because for freshers, DSA is the primary thing. Development might be a secondary thing if you are aiming to the product based companies, because they primarily look for DSA skill, particularly in freshers. So I grinded mostly on the DSA part. I did a lot of lead coding, a bit of competitive programming as well. I'm not a ICPC ranked or anything. I have never even participated in ICPC, but I did a bit of competitive programming on almost all the platforms, all the major platforms like Codeforces, CodeChef, AtCoder. So I tried competitive programming as well. So I think DSA is the primary thing which everyone should focus on as a fresher. And for the development, I think development is the secondary thing, because you can do anything development. In the case, like, it can be web development, it can be related to AIML, it can be web3, so you can do anything. It's everything and comes under the project section. So it's totally based, depends on you, like which one you choose. So it's totally a different thing, but DSA is the primary thing, and I believe that every fresher should do DSA, and they should primarily focus on DSA. So both the things are important, but everyone should primarily focus on DSA
Okay,
only.
and that is something I later realized. Doing DSA and computer programming is a lot important, because generally we just think like and just development कर लेंगे हम, बढ़िया open source से contribute कर रहे हैं, but normally it is very difficult for interviewers to judge you on the basis of the open source contribution that you did. Because उनका थोड़ा सा ये रहता है कि okay, so like इसने Kubernetes में मान लो contribute किया है, but we don't want that. We want someone who has good knowledge of how Java works. So उससे बेहतर है कि like they check your problem solving abilities. So इससे like DSA and CP is always important. So अब आते थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्टिंग वाले सेगमेंट पे, जो काफी लोग जानना चाहते हैं, 1 करोड़ वाला चीज. So how did how the thing works, like because ये हमने काफी बार सुना है from a lot of folks कि although फॉरेन में कन्वर्ट करने के बाद डॉलर्स को और यूरोस को इनटू नॉर्मली आईएनआर वो 1 करोड़ सुनाई देता है, बट उतना पैसा एक्चुअली है नहीं, तो उधर जाकर उतना सेविंग्स होता नहीं है. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक ऑन दैट, एंड व्हाट वाज योर प्राइमरी गोल, जैसे वेर यू बस लाइक अप्लाइंग टू फॉरेन कंपनीज, फॉरेन लोकेशन में आप अप्लाई कर रहे थे, या फिर आपने पहले इंडिया में भी अप्लाई किया था, या फिर व्हाट वाज योर मेजर मोटिवेशन, कि जैसे आपने 1 करोड़ वाला एम था कि कहीं से भी 1 करोड़ मिल जाए, ये आपका एम था, कि गेटिंग इनटू अ प्रोडक्ट कंपनी जो कि फॉरेन बेस्ड हो, या फिर व्हाट वाज योर एम, एंड जो 1 करोड़ वाला सीन है वो क्या है, लाइक आपको पूरा 1 करोड़ आपका बेस सैलरी है या फिर 1 करोड़ आपका सीटीसी है, सो लाइक इंडिया वांट्स टू नो.
Okay, so the first thing is I cannot, disclose my base salary and all. So, but like if we talk about top tech companies, like top product based companies, so what they usually claim the CTC is not the base salary. You can even consider that like the 50 to 60% is the base salary, and remaining is the stocks and other bonuses and all, right? So the whole amount is not a base salary, and it even it's even same in the Indian companies as well. Like most of the startups do not offer any stocks and these kind of benefits, so their salary, like the CTC, is less, but the base salary is almost equal to the top product based companies, right? So like this is the thing for the packages. And like if I talk about in my case, I applied for almost all the openings, even in India as well as outside India, but it's very difficult to get shortlisted in India, because what I believe is in India people generally shortlist the candidates, those who belongs to top colleges, like those belongs to IIT and ITs and all. So always people prefer them, right? So in my case, I didn't get much opportunities in India, so I applied for the international opportunities as well, and I was able to get some good opportunities outside India.
This is a really interesting and a very motivating line which you said, like getting hired in India is difficult with respect to international offers, because people generally tend to think कि इंटरनेशनल ऑफर लेना काफी ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू इंडिया में जॉब लेना. सो आई गेस ये देखने के बाद और बच्चे होंगे जो कि जाके अप्लाई करेंगे. सो वेर यू पार्ट ऑफ एनी सॉर्ट ऑफ टेलीग्राम ग्रुप, और कोई पर्टिकुलर जगह जहाँ से आपको अपॉर्चुनिटीज फ्लो इन करता था, या फिर हाउ डिड यू केम टू नो, लाइक अब जैसे अभी मेंशन किया आपने काफी अप्लाई किया था, लाइक लॉट ऑफ प्लेसेस बेट इंटरनेशनल और इन इंडिया इटसेल्फ. सो आपको कैसे पता चलता है कि लाइक करेंटली इधर से अपने को मिल जाएगा या फिर उधर से मिलेगा? सो व्हाट वाज द इंफॉर्मेशन सोर्स?
Okay, so I have my own YouTube Telegram channel where I usually post about the recent openings and even some of the referrals as well. So during the whole journey, I used to research a lot about different sources of opportunities, and I even used to scroll the LinkedIn, Twitter, as well as other platforms. Through those platforms, I used to get a lot of openings, and I just forward in my groups, right? So this was the thing I used to do in the initial days of my college, and through those channels I used to get some good number of openings, and I used to apply to all the openings, whichever opening I get from LinkedIn, from Twitter, and even from some of the Telegram group. And like if you want to get those openings as well, then you can even join my group where I post almost all the openings from all the different sources. So yeah, you can even pin the link in the
Yeah,
description.
surely I will be pinning the link in the description. So folks, check that out if you want to get an offer. Okay, so now talking of the serious stuff, like how did the interview rounds went? Because as you mentioned, you gave interviews for both Indians and abroad companies. And so was the difficulty level of the question similar, or was it more difficult over there? So or like एक और चीज जो मैंने देखा है काफी, लाइक व्हेन आई वाज डीलिंग, आई हैव dealt with a lot of foreign clients. So एक दिक्कत होता है while dealing with their accent, like they have a particular difficult accent to understand. So initially as a fresher ये भी difficulty होता है कि when you meet a guy from certain part of Europe, तो उनका एक्सेंट अपने को एकदम समझ नहीं आता. सो डिड यू आल्सो हैड द सेम डिफिकल्टीज कि उनका एक्सेंट समझ नहीं आ रहा? एंड पोस्ट दैट what were other sort of questions like you had, like was it only technical rounds or you had a managerial round as well? So can you just tell us about that in say 1 or 2 minutes? Maybe it will be helpful for you viewers. Yeah.
Okay, so in the interview rounds, I basically had a DSA round and behavioral round and the designing part. So all types of questions were in the same round only. So let's say there is a round of 1 hour. So in the 1 hour, they first asked about the behavioral questions related to projects and other things and my experience. Then they asked me about DSA part. Then after DSA, they asked me designing part. So, like a whole interview comprises of three things. The behavioral comes under the project section as well. So, behavioral and projects. Then they ask me DSA. Then third is the designing part. And if I talk about the difficulty of DSA, so it is basically related to medium to hard of lead code. And in the project section, or you can say the behavioral part, they basically looked for Amazon leadership principles, and in the projects uh, they look for the star pattern and all. The star is basically the pattern which everyone follows in the top companies. Yeah, I had 3 rounds of interviews. Each one
Okay.
is of 60 minutes.
Okay, that's really interesting. Now, also, like taking forward. So as I mentioned, quite a lot of times that you used to use lead code, right? So what was your approach? Like a lot of people, like I guess most of the people who are doing their BTech and interested in software, they are lead coding. But how did you do it differently? Like like suppose what was the approach? Like did you solve question on say on basis of topics, like suppose you have woke up and decide, so I will solve today problems from graphs. So were you selecting a tag that is graph and then you're solving, or it was just randomly you were solving problems on the level of the difficulty? So how did you approach?
Okay, so if you talk about lead code, so I basically followed few patterns. The first one is I used to attempt daily questions of lead code. So, like if we talk about the number of questions in that case, so let's say if you are solving a single question each day in a year, so that only counts up to 365. So those were the 365 questions. Then besides the daily questions, I used to solve the weekly contest and the bi-weekly contest. So if we count up those questions as well, then they also count up around 300, I guess. Like the 4 question in the Sunday round and 4 questions of the Saturday bi-weekly round. If we count up all the questions, then they counts up to 300, I guess. So if we count up total, so it's around 660. So I was able to solve 600 plus questions in a year, and I think this is enough, right? So this is the practice I used to do, and this is the contest I used to do, like for basically checking my skills. And besides the contest and all, I used to practice the questions from some famous sheets, like we have SD sheets and all. So I also used to solve those kind of questions. And then I used to give some test of various companies. So related to those companies, I used to solve some questions. Then previous year questions of all the companies, like top 50 questions of Amazon, top 50 questions of Google, and top 50 questions of like Microsoft. So I just navigate to like we have some list on lead code discussions for each of the companies. So I used to just uh, you know solve those kind of questions as well. So I believe, like if you solve a bunch of questions, like like 500 plus questions, 600 plus question, so I think it's enough.
Okay, that's good. People generally do, like ये मैंने भी देखा है, like काफी लोगों के साथ भी. तो ये प्लेटफॉर्म से थोड़ा बहुत कर ली, जब तक उनको इजी लग रहा है, जब थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट लगने लगा दे चेंज द प्लेटफॉर्म. सो ये मत करो, स्टिक टू वन पर्टिकुलर प्लेटफॉर्म, सॉल्व शीट्स एज Gantavya mentioned, be it technical segment or be it the way you speak or be it the HR part. So if we just concise everything and just ask you, 3 टिप जो आप कोई भी इंटरव्यूअर को देना चाहते हो, लाइक समवन हु इज जस्ट trying to get in. So what will be the 3 tips which you want to give to them?
So, like to get an interview, the first thing is to apply for the all the opportunities, right? So this is the tip number 0. Just apply for all the opportunities. Then the tip number 1 is to prepare well and practice a lot of DSA questions, and just try to sort the question based on company. Like if you are giving a test of particular company, you can just sort the question based on the company tag. And if you want some free sources, then like on Leetcode, everything is premium. Like if you talk about the company sections and all, so you can use some alternatives. Like we have lint code, where you can get the pro version of Leetcode for free. So you can use these kind of platforms to browse the questions of particular companies. So first thing is you can solve, just try out the company based questions. Then the second thing is be confident, prepare well in advance about your projects, because in the projects you already know what kind of questions they can expect, right? So you can prepare for the projects. And in the projects, I would say you can prepare in the star method, because the star method is very important in all the major interviews. So you should prepare in the star method only. Then the third thing is just understand the pattern of the company, and there are some principles of the companies that you should learn from the YouTube and other resources. Like we have Amazon leadership principles. Then in other companies, like in Microsoft, I guess there are a few principles. So it depends on company to company. So you can just check out company's website and company's previous interview experience to get more details about this. So I think these 3 to 4 things are very important in the interview, and just believe in yourself. I think there is a day for everyone. So don't get disheartened if you do not get selected. There is a lot more to explore, and also, yeah, best
Yeah,
of luck
and
to
I
everyone.
really loved your tip zero apply. Okay, like a lot of folks ये देख के कि शायद मैं सिलेक्ट ना हो पाऊँ मैं अप्लाई नहीं करता. So ये वाला चीज मत करो. कहीं भी कुछ भी दिखे अप्लाई कर दो डायरेक्टली. एंड एक और चीज जो है ना पर्सनली मेरे को ऐड करना था दैट इज मॉक इंटरव्यूज. सो आई गेस मॉक इंटरव्यूज पे काफी हेल्प हो जाता है आपको फॉर दैट.
Mhm.
सो डू check that out. Like we'll be sharing a link for a website where you can do mock interviews just for free. So do explore that as well. First of all, like thanks a lot, Gantavya, for joining in. It really means a lot. Like you are super busy, but you manage some of your time for this podcast and for helping out the community. So I tried my best to cover every aspect or what I have thought of, and I try to ask you every question. So if you think there is something I missed out, or if you want to give any final tips, or if you want to add on anything, you can add over in this segment. And so if you think it's something I've missed, maybe you can just add it over here.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's my pleasure to be here. And the last thing which I would like to deliver to everyone is just apply for all the opportunities. You do not know where is your destiny. Just apply for all the opportunities. Prepare well in advance. Just look upon some previous experiences, learn from their experiences, and just apply. And just believe in yourself. So yeah, best of luck
Okay.
to everyone.
Thanks a lot again, Gantavya. So I will be sharing his socials and also his Telegram channel link, and I will be asking about the resources. And if he wants to share something, I will be listing them in the description. So feel free to check the description, and I'm pretty much sure it will be resource rich. And he is a very sweet person. He will be replying you back on every question you have. And at least he will be trying his best to reply that. So make sure to reach out to him on anything. And if you want me to make more related videos on how people got into international companies, how they landed up such offers, make sure to write in the comments, and I will be having them around just like Antavya today. And I'm sure just like me, you also learned a lot from the podcast. So thanks a lot guys for joining in, and thanks a lot Antavya. Bye bye.